Okay, there we go. Good evening, Shaggy SoCal 2Old4Forza. And sorry, this is a little bit later in the weekend for the track guides than I normally do these, because I just got back from a very good weekend at the Long Beach Grand Prix. So very tired, a lot of driving back and forth, but then a lot of walking around, a lot of seeing race cars. This is a good weekend. So hopefully I don't fall asleep while I do these. So for week 5, I'm going a little out of order on these track guides. Normally I tend to do them in the order that we'll do the races on Thursday. But I'm actually going to start with Daytona. The reason being is, well, I'll explain that in a little bit. But like for any of these track guides, again, one of the races on Thursday is going to be at Daytona 24-hour sports car course at night. So as I do for pretty much all the track guides, I'll go out and do a flying lap, kind of talk through it a little bit there, high level, slow it down, do a track walk, kind of how I interpret this, what I'm trying to do, how I see it, and then get into a mock race. Again, I need to validate. Again, we try to run about a 30 minute, 6-minute race, factoring in a quick stop like that. So estimates 17 laps, though I think this season, our estimates have been off by a lap or so. So part of this is, it's the only time I practice for these, but it's also going to be a way to validate race length. So with that, let's stop talking and let's go ahead and go into test drive. I'm going to get out there and run a lap. Oh, starting on the banking. A little bit of wheel spin, a little bit of back end step out getting on the throttle. So we'll start here. Actually, now I'll do it the way I've been doing it. So very late brake into the corner, second gear. And I'll do a flying lap to kind of refigure out how I take that corner. Cut some curbing here, bring it out just across the line, brake right at the last hash mark. Second gear. Pull back into the throttle. Use all of the exit there. Turn the car back over the right side. Third gear. You can take this flat, just be careful to wheel spin it at the apex. Think about halfway down in between that access road or the other, kind of the crossover for the other circuit. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin there. Third gear. About halfway there as well. That's a turn I struggle with. I tend to, and this is controller habit. Controller habit is much easier to keep the car at the very bottom of the track than at the top of the track. Though there's probably better people than I that can do that. So I still, even though I'm on the wheel and could probably run at the wall, I find it better to hug the low line. Second gear into the bus stop. Use the curving there. Get back to full throttle. A little bit late there. Push a little wide. And again, I'm going to keep it low. Now, if I was doing like a hot lap for a time trial, I probably would just hug the bottom, hug the yellow line all the way to start finish. But for me, there's two ways to do this. You can either pop up early and then just kind of follow the high line through the tri-oval to kind of get you set up for turn 1, or you can pop up a little bit later. That's a little bit wider than I like, and still a little too much speed. So I got to work on that. Just follow the yellow curbing. You can use the yellow curbing here. Just don't go over the white line, and watch the wheel spin if you're too aggressive on the throttle and steering. Backhand will get away from you if you're not careful. It's kind of funny. It's like I've never either it's not been as much at other tracks that we've raced this season, but at least for me, I think I'm feeling the understeeriness of the car more here than anywhere else we've raced so far. Where I know I'm kind of going past what the front tire is going to be able to do. Let's run the high line. Why not? It's a practice lap. It'll be interesting to see how well drafting will work through there. All right, I'm going to do this. You can do this in third. Again, it's that difference between, do you like the car on its heels or its toes? Hashtag me personally, I actually like second through there. Can't say one is any faster than the other, but you know, maybe third is quicker. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll finish this lap, then I'll slow it down and try to talk you through what I'm trying to do to get around Daytona here, what I'm looking for. So again, crossing start finish, like Harold was saying, if you could hug the yellow line, just as you get across start finish, bring the car up. But what I'm trying to do is stop. Is and I haven't quite gotten the angle sorted out. Usually it takes me a bit. Not one of those I can go out and qualify in a lap or two, but it usually takes me a bit to find the line. Things you can look for. For me, I'm looking at the dotted. Where's the controller? There's the controller. I need the stick so I can look behind me. So usually what I'm keying off of is the dotted white lines, that kind of designate the upper lane. So it's basically I'm braking at the last one, right at the beginning where that last one is. It's also just past the course condition light up there on the right hand side, just by the mirror. And I think this is where I differ from what Forza suggests. Let me actually put the full braking line. Yeah, so you can see Forza's like, oh, no, it's blue now because I'm standing still. But Forza wants this nice graceful arc in, and then into the out of the corner on the other side. I don't do that. I tend to be a little more aggressive. I almost want to say it's a line similar to what I see during the Daytona 24 hour, where it's more of a kind of using that white hash there, is I'm trying to almost diamond it into, and I say diamond it, I want to get my max braking straight line in. So I'm actually going to try, if you can kind of see the pit exit, grassy area between the race circuit and then the pit exit, where that point is on the right, is I'm kind of using that as an aiming point. So visually I'm trying to go from the beginning of the white dash to that point at the grass there and brake in a straight line. If I do it right, as I get to that point, I can start to roll out of the throttle. It is going to pop the car a little bit wide, but then I can fully release and then turn in. So it's kind of one of those, someone that's going to try and take the normal line in, you're going to surprise them because you're going to duck into the inside, the apex. But then you got to be careful that, especially if they're on the outside, because that line is going to turn out and intersect them. So let me stop talking about it and just kind of slowly walk through it. So what I'm going to try to do is brake. Now I'll start to see the proximity line come up as I get close to it. There it is there. So it is kind of a straight line in. I'll probably cross over it a little bit. And this might be a little shallower of an angle than I'll ultimately, when I get comfortable, be on. But what I'm trying to do is to get to this point, brake. It's a straight line. I'm not trying to turn the car. As the car then comes out and I kind of intersect where the suggested line is, this is about where I'm going to be releasing the brakes fully, maybe give it a little gas to get some weight back on the back, and then try to balance the car through this next second half of this corner and into the infield. Up second gear. I'm going to use this curving here. I'm going to use this curving here, probably up to third. And then I'm going to I'll bring the car again. I usually take a slightly wider approach in. where I'll probably be mostly across the white dashed line here, kind of into where pit exit is. My braking point, regardless if whether I'm following the line or not, is I'm going to brake right about where the last dash is for the the pit dividing line. So that's my braking point there that I look for in addition to the braking line. Down to second gear, I think on my test laps I tried it in first. I think second. I'll play around. This is one of those that I'll be playing around with. I think second, if I get the braking right and get the momentum in, I think second will be fine. And the suggested line is pretty good too, as far as following that, rolling back into the power as you get past the apex. Usually I'm going to probably bring it out a little bit wider earlier. That may or may not be a good thing. But second gear out, up to third, bring the car back across. I don't have a definitive turn-in point for here, though you could kind of go off the Rolex board. You can kind of use that to help gauge it, as long as one of us hasn't gone and knocked it over during the race. And certainly the other Rolex board kind of blocks the apex, but you can take this flat. The danger is, depending on your turn in, how much speed you're carrying, how much steering input you've got. There is a little bit of a bump here that you can kind of see it dips in, and then the exit kind of crests out just that little bit. Depending on when you go in, how hard you hit that bump, how hard you get on the curbing, how much steering you have, you may feel the back end start to slide out once you get past the apex, and certainly just about when you're at exit. It's not a horrible slide. But it's better that the second you start to feel it, it's probably just a quick off on of the throttle, just to get, and that'll settle the back down. Because you don't want to spend a lot of time getting into a tank slapper through here. Because you want to bring the car back across. And for me, the braking is about halfway, as far as this road here off on the left. As you get about halfway across it, this is where I'll be braking here for the second. I think the first one is the International Horseshoe. I'm not sure if it's International Horseshoe 1, International Horseshoe. I don't know all the turns on this track, at least the names they give them. But here it's back down to second gear. And this is one of those weird ones that you're going to do a lot of braking here, release to turn in, but it tightens up. So you'll probably need to give it another little check brake just to keep some weight in the front of the nose so you can get it turned to that apex, roll back into the throttle, second gear, out to the curbing, start bringing it back across. You will need to go to third. If I was banging the rev limiter like right as I was getting to the cones, I'd probably leave it in second. I think you're going to hit the rev limiter far enough before those cones, before your braking point. It's probably better to throw it in the third. Braking to get out of the infield is again about halfway from where this access road here is, or this, when I call it an access road, it's one of the other circuit layouts, I think, from the blah, 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 blah. Can't lost my train of thought. From the short course, we come out this way. So it's about halfway here for me is where I'm going to get on the brakes and into second gear. And this is one where I'm still figuring out, because you want to get the car slowed down and turned in. Because I think ideally, if I do it right, you should be able to start rolling back into the throttle as soon as you get to the apex here. You want to, again, the sooner you can get back to full throttle, and if you've carried the right amount of speed through, the sooner you can get back to full throttle and keep that smooth line out, you'll carry that speed all the way down the long straightaway. So this is going to be the hard one of getting the power down, getting the full power. I might be going out too wide. I might be too slow at the apex. But then this is where I definitely differ from the braking line, is I'm actually going to aim for the beginning of the yellow line and clip it and just hug the bottom. I don't know. Again, this car is not, I don't know how well drafting will be here. Drafting may be awesome. But given the choice, I think I still believe that shortening the distance by hugging the bottom is better than trying to, because I don't think there's enough speed at the top that you're going to rocket past people if they're going to be on the bottom. But as soon as you get out of that corner, it was a little bit late for me. Going to bring the car to the right side. into the bus stop, or as they now call it, the Le Mans chicane, which I would just call it Le Bus Stop. So for the bus stop, I'm using the A in Daytona, and not the first A in Daytona, the last A in Daytona. The first A in Daytona you come across. Yeah, confused yet? But that's what I'm using as far as the braking point. This is definitely one, as I talked about on the kind of the quicker laps. This is a preference. I don't think one is faster than the other. It depends on what your preference is as far as what you want the car to feel like going through the bus stop. For me, I'm going to probably put it in second, so I have the, and again, it'll be higher in the RPM, higher in the RPM range. It's going to have it, so just then, the throttle then has a little more effect on the weight transfer. It'll help keep a little more weight in the front of the tires. It gives it a little more point going into the bus stop. If you have it in third, that's fine. The car's going to be a bit more relaxed, so getting your braking done is going to be a little bit more important. If you miss your braking, you're going to go wide a lot. You're going to push wide a lot easier in third than say you would in second. Second, the back end might be a little more wiggly. So, like, personal preference. For me, I'll probably be doing this in second. And for me, the hardest part is getting the entry right. So, you've got the little yellow arrow saying turn here. I don't really have a kind of a static reference. Usually when I'm braking here, I'm just trying to spot that opening apex. I was also trying to figure out if I could correlate it with the cones behind it. Like, oh, when there's two cones behind, the first entry, curbing, the yellow curbing, that's when you turn in. But again, throughout the race, what if those cones get knocked over? Who knows? I might even knock those cones over. So basically, as I'm getting on the brakes here, as I'm getting the car slowed down and I'm starting to cheat in a little bit probably on the steering, I'm trying to find, first I'm trying to spot that yellow curbing, and there will be a point where it's like, okay, I've got to release the brake and commit in. And if I've done it right, it'll be glorious. If I've done it wrong, hopefully I don't get a time penalty. But what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to put it first, is I want to try and clip the curbing late. Stay off this curbing. It's not like Watkins Glen where we can use a lot of the curbing there. And then for here, it's the opposite. Well, not really the opposite. I'm going to clip the first curbing I come to. So I'm going to try and do this. Clip it here, still in second, and then try and clip this curbing on the way out. Now, again, where I'm going to differ, you can see the suggested line wants to get you back onto the track and up to that high line. Don't know if that's the right line or not. I'll find out on Thursday when we're racing each other. But I typically will hug the left side, aim for the start of the yellow line there, and just keep it on the bottom. And then we go through NASCAR 3 and 4. It usually is again trying to keep my eyes up and looking as far ahead as possible. I look to the Sunoco sign, and then I kind of give me something at least to focus on. But I'm gonna let the car just kind of naturally, as the track flattens, I'm gonna let the car come across. So I'm probably going to keep it in the high line of the race. But what I was talking about earlier is if you want to hug the bottom all the way through, that's fine. When you start getting into the tri-oval, I would say start letting the car come back up as you cross the start-finish line, so that you're up at least at these white lines as you get to the braking for turn one. So you do want the car to a bit more to the right to get the angle in. If you're going to hug the yellow line all the way in and think you're going to be able to brake for turn one and get it to stick, it's not. You'll be able to get it slowed down, but then you're going to go way wide and then just open the door for people to pass you on the inside. But that's kind of how I'm evaluating Daytona and getting it around the course. Now, for me, I'm going to throw an extra challenge in here. Let me get out a test drive and let's set up the race. Finish test drive. Still doing the same classes because bucket me. I'm me. I'm going to start at the very back. But for the other two classes, I've just rebalanced the number of cars in each of those classes, and I've only got 3 of the the Formula One cars starting at the back. So hopefully that provides a little bit better racing. But just because uh, this was a track going into, yes, very tired. This was a track going into this season that on the wheel that I've only just been doing manual and letting the game kind of handle the clutch and like that. So Sebring was the first one I realized that I needed to try manual with clutch, and then I kind of half-assed it, where at least with the pedals I was using the pedal for the upshift, but then for downshifting I'm like, nah, I'll just if we're not running damage, I'll just grind the gears and just make sure that I'm shifting low enough in the RPM range that when it spikes, it's not gonna unsettle the car. What I'm going to try and do is improve my skill set and try to um, take it one step at a time. I'm not the most coordinated person out there, so even though I have a stick shift automobile, I've never been able to figure out heel and toe, and it might just be because I got big feet and I'm lazy. Um, but even in my car, it's like I can blip the throttle in my car, but usually it's because I'm being lazy and I'm braking enough. I'm getting a lot of the braking done where I can let off the brake, clutch, blip. I can't do that all at the same time. I've not figured out the dance. So for tonight, since I seem to be pretty comfortable on the upshifts, at least on the downshifts, I'm at least going to try and, still use the clutch to do the downshifts. I'll get that figured out, and then I'll start trying to figure out how I can, blip the throttle at the same time. So it's a learning process, but it just may slow me down just a smidgen bit, especially if I get confused of which foot's where, and I end up trying to brake with the clutch instead of the actual brake pedal. Because before now, I was always doing left foot brake. I'm talking too much. Let's go ahead and get in. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to do 17 laps. Let's see how it goes. Again, starting up front is the historic road racing division that this Falcon XB sits in. Though, again, difference between drivatars even on, unbeatable level, they are still a little bit slower than I am. So they're going to go out and be my slow cars. Starting behind them here in a couple of seconds is, I'm going to butcher the division name, but it's the historic drag racers. So it's kind of the same era of cars. But these guys were more made for drag racing. So they're going to be really fast. I'm probably going to get killed on the straights because they're going to have a lot of straight line. My only hope of catching them is they're going to be three-wheeling it through the corners. And then starting just in front of me is the birth of Grand Prix. So nice 50 Roadsters F1 cars. Looks like I've got the, let's say it's the Alpha there. In front, or Alfa Fiat, looks like a Ferrari, maybe a Mercedes, and then I'll start about 5 seconds behind them. Maybe I should put the clutch in. So definitely need to be ready to do a little bit of counter steering. Oh, damn it. Pardon my French. Silly of me. It's like that shift went a little too easy. Okay, there we go. Much better. What I have to get used to is, the braking is set up, as far as when I tune the brake, as far as the tune I'm running, and then how I've got the brakes actually, brake pressure set up on the wheel. My left foot, oh wait, one other thing I want to do, sorry. I don't need the full braking line, but I do like the braking only. Is in, my left foot is very used to this pedal as far as, in this car as far as what it does. My right foot, not so much. My right foot is not used to the brake pedal being that responsive. So it's going to take me a bit to figure out, to get my right foot kind of get the brake feel that I want. Now I could go in and start fudging with the settings, but at this point it's like, I think it's easier I think since there's still a tuning component tuning me, I think it's easier just to leave things set the way they're at, where they're at, and then tune my right leg and my right foot to kind of figure out what's working. First shift didn't do well in the second one. All right. Thank God I'm not really driving anywhere immediately after this, because it's going to be funny where, you know, my right foot gets used to like, oh, very sensitive brakes, and then I get on the brakes the first time in a real car and be like, oh, wait a minute, I need to, it's not stopping. Why isn't it stopping? All right, let's see if I get the line through here right. See, I'm still over braking a little bit. And that's the other thing with the, since I'm right foot braking, I forgot the clutch. Since I'm right foot braking, I can't get back to throttle as quickly as I was before. But again, it's just relearning what I know, or hopefully learning what I don't know. Well, see, like that. Yes, that was me pushing the clutch pedal instead of the brake. See, part of these recordings, it's not about me doing everything right. It's looking at all the silly, stupid things I do too. Don't do the silly, stupid things. Sunoco sign, so as it flattens out. And again, by just letting the car just kind of move out on its own, I'm not doing a lot of steering adjustments. And lock the brakes. And the main reason I really want to do manual clutch is just because there's so much full throttle and so much we're upshifting. I'm going to be giving up half a second or more, just because, you know, if I don't use the clutch. Now, if the car had a race transmission in it, then we're all even Steven. That was really bad there. That was just kind of like, I just didn't get all my braking done. Oh, that was early. So I'm oversteering on the way in. And by oversteering, meaning I'm putting way too much steering angle in, because I'm carrying too much speed and the car's pushing. Why we practice. A little slideways. challenge I would also put out there when you're going through the bank turns, try and look up and look as far down the track as you can. Like, no, I want to get off. I want to get back to the gas. Oh, no, I can't. This is a little bit better. That was very late. You know what? I'm going to keep you in suspense. No, I need to brake earlier there. If I was just doing left foot braking, just with manual transmission, not even worrying about the clutch, then where I'm braking at would be fine, because then I could immediately get back on the throttle. But yeah, we're 4 laps in. I still haven't gotten that quite the way I want to get. Oh, you did it. Excuse me. See again. No, right there. I want to go wide and cut back. Almost timed that the way I wanted to. But hopefully I should have enough. Yeah, he's backing off. Good. Okay, so let me brake just a smidgen earlier than I have been. There we go. I'm shortening the distance, but I don't have their top end, so he's probably going to start coming back by me as we get out of the banking. But a little bit more. If I can draft in. Do not have the horsepower. Ooh, the car got bound up a little bit. And move. that will work. That works on the drivatars because they're slow. That will not work in the race. These cars, you know, again, since we're all racing the same, essentially the same car, same setup, there's no way that will work unless the person you're trying it on completely messes up as on their own, pushes wide or gets loose. For some cases that it's almost better, and I'll try it the next, if I get in that situation again in the horseshoe, I'll try it, but in that situation it might be better to actually take the outside line around someone in the first horseshoe. Kind of pin them to the inside. Oh, I don't need to pin them to the inside and use your momentum. Can't talk and drive. And kind of use the momentum on the outside to get a better exit. We're about, he's probably going to start pulling away here in a second, but maybe he's just slow enough that I can get a good draft. Oh, there we go, see how shifts. Excuse me. Leave a little room on the outside. That was a bad downshift. Spike the RPMs. But pass is done. Alright, let's stay on the outside of this guy here. You might be able to do something like that. Oh, yep, I'm crazy. Excuse me. So I'm dancing on the pedals trying to find that right amount just to scrub the speed down a little bit. I feel like it's oversteering a little bit, where like I'm scrubbing the fronts a little more than I should. 17 laps, let's see, 16.8. Okay. We'll pit about halfway. We're getting into historic road racers, but I know that I'm quicker than. I'm gonna slide up a little bit, see if I can get a little bit of the draft. Because even though lap time wise they're slower, you know, they get a decent amount of speed. You can see even the slowest class that I'm racing, they can pull away from me in the straights. It's all the cornering is where I make it up. Yeah, and you can do that one first if you find your way out of it. Okay, I don't know who ran in the back of you. It wasn't me. A little bit late, but not terrible. Alright, so pit in Daytona. Pretty dirt simple. Follow the yellow line. Look at the wrench. I'm actually going to kind of go between the wrench and the Sunoco sign. Maybe cut towards the Sunoco. It's probably the quickest way into the pit. Now, the exit the pit, and this is, and again, nitpicky Forza. Hopefully they can address it in the next game. But pit lane exit, instead of taking the actual pit lane out onto the out of the first hairpin, it's going to dump you right out in the racing line. So you just got to be careful. Just hug the inside second gear. And of course, we'll all hopefully be in the same chat. We'll all be able to communicate. Say, hey, I'm exiting. Oops, sorry, excuse me, pardon me. New wheel. It's pretty much just, well, I'm a little bit slower, but yeah, it's one of the trickier ones, at least as far as you're getting dumped right out into traffic. Alright, so we're back in 21st. Well, let's see how much I can make up. Now, I know there's probably going to be... I don't think I'm going to catch the F1 cars. I think that's not going to happen. It's just a question of how far up the order can I work my way through with the other two classes. See if I can... Too far away to probably get a draft, but... with him, I am running a little bit quicker than Mervan 5822. Take a look. Brake a little early, forget the clutch. Zamo, do you have any speed? Can I draft off of you? It's quite a defensive line we're taking there. Oh, got a little stabby with the throttle, but it's like I saw the opening. It's like, nah, I gotta get the car on the inside. That's the other thing. If you do first coming out of that first horseshoe, and you're using manual clutch getting the second, just be careful that the back end doesn't step out. That could have been better. I'm just getting greedy. Another Ford Falcon. I think that's the Falcon. Yeah. Again, it's like I'm the Aussie Falcon, and then we have the, I believe that's the US Falcon. Maybe not. A little bit late. Well, very late, and still. so nice having a wheel that I can go to the high line and not have to worry about getting into the wall. Yeah, I'm stupid. Lost the mirror. I just still haven't quite got the brake feel right. It's getting there. Hey, that's my line. I probably could have gone down the first there just because I got kind of compromised with the traffic. Oh. Just got murdered by the AI. I do have limit driver to aggression off, so I guess that's to be expected. Figure out which one that was and give him a receipt. It's not these three in front of me. I think it's like two up past them. I think it was red car. Whoop! I went to the clutch to try and slow down again. That wasn't good. It's gonna be so much fun on Thursday when I forget which foot is which and what pedal I'm on. No, you shall not pass. And the line I'm taking here does leave me a bit open if someone wants to try and fire down the inside, but c'est la vie. Ease off the throttle just to prevent the wheel spin. I think I found my quarry. Not you, Mr. Mustang. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the bus stop. This is not going to be fun. Remember me? Should be clear of him. Once we get to the first turn, I'll be far enough ahead, but I don't have to worry about him. But he's going to take a look. I wonder if anybody's ever like sent an Xbox Live message to a player, to tell them that their drive guitar sucks. Though I'm sure if that was happening, I would probably be getting a lot. Because questionable racecraft. It does make me wonder, because I think the way the drive guitar experiment has been going on, I'd have to imagine that my drive guitar's got accumulated quite a large amount of data. I think when my first Forza was Forza 3. I did go back and play the single player on Forza 2 a few years after I was on 3, and then again through Forza 4, 5, 6, into 7 here, including all the Horizons. Well, if the Horizons, if my Horizon drive guitar has any influence, oh yeah. Yeah, you don't want to fix my drive guitar at that point. Again, just depending on how the data is collected and how it stores it, you got to figure then there's a certain point where things I do start having less of a dramatic impact since there's just so much other data it's accumulated. Hopefully it's good data. Yeah, so I still had a lot of steering in the car when I went back to the throttle. That's what started the back end to kick out. Oh, early. That's better. Excuse me. And I missed a shift. No, I mistimed the, again, it's just trying to find the right time to where he would have moved out of the way. That was a bad pass. Don't do that. Don't follow my bad examples. Yeah, passing. Again, obvious places to pass. Obvious places to pass are obvious. If you can get a run going into here in the 1, I'll brake and hold that inside. Good shot there. Again, as I miss into the shift, next best place is going to be into the first horseshoe. I think that one's going to be more of a passive opportunity. In third place, I would just watch for people that get really loose through here. Again, this for me, I don't know if I would pass somebody going into this horseshoe, but maybe look to try and get a run out. This one's going to be tough to get anybody into it, and Use the clutch. I can't talk and drive at the same time. Have I said that before? I'm hitting the clutch and then I'm not understanding why the gears aren't changing because I haven't changed the gears. So, you know, again, getting a good run onto the oval is like, well, yeah, duh, it's the most important turn on the track. Heading down into the bus stop, in your own practice braking. Don't just practice out and practice the normal line. Find some situations, especially if you're practicing with other players. Practice trying to go side by side into that corner and take the inside, and so you have a better understanding of, okay, when I'm a full car width, you know, distance more to the inside, how do you have to adjust your braking? How do you have to adjust your turn in? Because if the car is still there, you know, you have to be able to make space. You have to be able to make the corner. You know, from the situation, if you have someone trying to pass on the inside, is it better to lift a little early and try the crossover, banking on them to go wide, you know, or hoping they go wide? So it's going to be some interesting things that we might be dealing with. Again, this is much like what I was having at the end of the infield section. I'm probably just either braking too late or not braking enough. So we'll sort that out next lap. That's a better line. Not too bad. I don't know how well the game audio is coming across, but the next time I go through that horseshoe, just, you know, here's the fun thing. Look at how much I'm turning and listening to what the tires are doing. I'm still putting a lot more turn on the wheel than I think ideally I'd like to, but again, it's because I still haven't gotten the braking right. I'm kind of having to use the oversteering, or the putting more steering in to kind of scrub to try and slow the car down. So hopefully I can, between now and Thursday, I can sort that out. I may even, and it's, I don't want to say, I'm not going to blame me. It's me trying to learn, you know, further incorporating the clutch pedal into this, but let's see. All right, let's see if we can set a clean, fast one. Problem is, I think I'm going to catch way wide. At that point, I probably should have just dropped it to first to get the car turned. With 3/10 down. I'm still up. It's 500s, but I'm kind of surprised at that. Which makes me wonder, like, how much time did I really lose? How well did I do? A little bit of locking. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, we're at 38 minutes. This is probably going to be, the race is probably going to be maybe 16 laps. I don't know that Matt will drop it to 15, just up 3/10. Wow, I almost want to go into Rivals to see what I can. So I'm going to lose that couple tenths here because of traffic. I don't know what my current fastest lap is. Since I'm going to be a try-hard, I'm just going to hug the line all the way to start finish. And hopefully do not dirty my lap. Mr. Beast of Debt East. 2:10.3. There's probably, I mean, if I was 3/10 up at one point on that 2:10.3, there's probably, yeah, there's probably a 2.9 in there somewhere. But that's Daytona 24-hour. Again, 17 laps, probably too long. Let's see, let's just knock a lap off. 37 minutes, 36, 35. Yeah, it could be, it might be 16 laps. It might be 15 laps. 17's too much. But again, Daytona 24, I'm getting a little better. Trying to figure out the clutch here. But with that, I'm going to take a break for a little bit and then come back and do Homestead for the, I think it's the Homestead Road Circuit. So another, again, it's a theme this week. Let's do all the infield road courses on the ovals. So with that, I'm going to take a break. Hope you guys are having a great weekend, great Sunday evening, and happy racing. And again, I will someday learn to have this pulled up ahead of time. So I can just go, happy racing.